Dear friends in Jesus Christ, we all have happy memories, good memories of people, especially those who are dead, who enriched our lives. November is a month to remember with affection all those past friendships and relationships that have graced and blessed us. It always seems to me, at least, to be something of a valley month. Perhaps it is appropriate that it is the month when we reflect on death, which can be a dark experience for all who are touched by it. Yet, for us, as the followers of Christ, there is always light in darkness. We are never without the light of Christ, even in the face of death, whether it is our own death or the death of loved ones. In today's Gospel, a group of Sadducees approached Jesus and tried to ridicule his faith in the resurrection of the dead, his faith in fullness life after death. Not all Jews at the time believed in a life beyond death, and the Sadducees certainly did not. They approached Jesus knowing that he did not share their skepticism about life beyond death. They present a scenario which they believe makes a mockery of the notion of life beyond death. The woman who had 7 husbands in this life, which of them will be her husband in the next life? Jesus responds to the mocking questions of Sadducees in a very considered way. To begin with, he rejects the presumption hidden in their questions that life beyond death will simply be a continuation of this life as we know it now. He declares that there is a radical difference between our life on earth and our life in what Jesus calls the other world. The future life will be absolutely new compared to this life. It is a life we can hope for, but it is not a life we can describe. Human language can only hint at this new and transformed life. St. Paul had met the risen Lord on the road to Damascus. He was touched by the Lord's risen life, the life that is our ultimate destiny. Yet he is very reluctant to speak or write about what this risen life will be. In his first letter to the Corinthians, he declares that no eyes have seen, no ears have heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love him. Paul is reminding us that the life of heaven is so completely new that no earthly experience can compare with it. All we can say is that it is a life that fulfills our deepest hungers and our thirst. That is perhaps why Jesus often speaks of the life of the kingdom of heaven using the imagery of a great banquet. That image also suggests that an experience of communion among people and between them and their host, the Lord. In his response to Sadducees, Jesus goes on to declare that the scriptures God is referred to as the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Despite the fact that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are dead, God remains their God. Death has not destroyed the loving relationship that God had with them. Jesus is saying that the relationship God has with us now will not end with the death. God's love for us is more powerful than our biological death. Beyond this earthly life, God continues to hold us in the embrace of His love. As Jesus says at the end of the Gospel, to God all are alive. Jesus had this dispute with Sadducees shortly before His death and resurrection. We can reflect on this passage in the light of Jesus' death and resurrection. When Jesus' enemies put him to a cruel death, God his Father held him in the embrace of his love, and that loving embrace raised him to a new and more wonderful life. What God has done for Jesus, God wants to do for us all. Jesus reveals God to be a God of the living. In the words of the gospel, a God who brings surprising new life out of death. Because we believe in a life-giving God, our faith is always a hope filled with faith, even in the face of death.